Was that a big pop? That was a big pop. Oops, sorry. Sorry about the big pop. Oh, we gotta clean off the desk. We're gonna take apart this little air duster. They call it a duster instead of a blower. So you can't make any of the good jokes. This might be a little too slow. I'm gonna go to the one that we played yesterday. That was the super chill. What was it again? My Definitive Chill version XII. I think he's on like number 6. Oh, and then we got to get YouTube up so we get the chat in. Everybody's home today, so I'm going to be a little quieter than I would like to be on a Saturday. Now let's pop that chat out. That thumbnail looks good. Pop out chat. I need to spend a little bit of time with the V2 model and get more shots of it. I'm going to cough 1 sec. Get more shots of it so that I have more of the, emote things to put on thumbnails. 1 sec. Jeez. It's like super humid and rainy today, so I'm miserable, of course. Miserable when it's dry, miserable when it's humid, miserable when it's anything in between. Only when there's a slight chill in the air and it's somewhere around 70 degrees that 68 degrees is when I'm happy. That's it. That's the only time. So I've been trying to get Node-RED to turn stuff on and off. Stream Start Soon is one of the ones that I'm kind of targeting here. I just don't know how to use this stuff. All of my inputs are invalid. Event type, stream online, user ID. Okay, so that was for this. The on-air light over there. I'll at some point we'll do the more prominent mechanical design for that. Wait. Oh, those are the goodbyes from the last stream. Let me clear that, actually. Jeez. Let me clear the chat so it's all... Maybe I can refresh that cache using these tools at the beginning of stream. I'm going to cough more. Jesus, this is terrible. I don't know why I'm coughing so much. It's just I'm talking a lot. Oh, does this work out? Wait a minute. I got Boodle's Gin, which comes with a tiny little top hat. Oh, that's perfect. That's amazing. There we go. We got a little top hat on. It doesn't look like it unless you look at it straight on, but still. Where are we going to look at it straight on? I don't know. Let's put them over here. One of them's wearing a funky hat. It's the little things that keep you entertained. How's everybody's weekend going? All 3 people in chat. I didn't stream yesterday because I had to secure insulin. My hair is doing weird stuff because it's humid out. Hold on, I'm gonna be doing this throughout the whole stream. Is trying to prop that up so that it looks like that instead of looks folded down. Anyway, insulin. I was able to finally procure it. I'd actually go to the pharmacy and they said, "Oh, I thought you were getting 15 bottles." I'm like, what? Like, the past 900 times that I've filled this, it's been 4 or 5. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they finally got it all working again. But that happens all the time. Pretty much on a monthly basis is CVS messes something up. I really wish I could use the other medical supplier, but they don't do like treatment medication. They just do the diabetic hardware stuff. So I can't even get my pumps to them. Whoa, what's that? Fatted on subbing for 73 months. We actually need that data. So the Idealite come on for that. Fatted on with a tier 3 for 73 months. Thank you. Genuinely thank you. I really appreciate that very, very much. All the other ones were not genuine. This one is genuine. Thank you. Oh, God, I'm going to cough again. Eventually I'll be able to breathe on my own. All right, event type, channel subscription message. Event type, channel chat notification. Event type, stream online. So we get channel subscription message. So this sub should be payload event type, not channel chat notification, channel subscription message. Copy that. I think that's what that is. Nope, that didn't help me at all. And I guess I can delete everything around it, but it copied the whole thing. There you go. Payload event type, channel subscription message. So there, now sub is channel subscription message. I don't think a gift sub, we looked at this gift sub, breathing is overrated. Yeah, subscribe gift is the channel event for the gift notification. Right now they're doing the same thing, only one of them is blue. Sorry about if any coughing gets through the mic. How's it going, Fatadon? You're like the only person in chat because I didn't stream yesterday. And weekend streams are a little bit more sparse. We're going to be taking apart something that somebody sent in. It's in the thumbnail. Oh, I just got to subscribe. Oh, a gift. You don't have to test gift. We know gift. I didn't see it go blue. I wasn't looking. But yeah, that comes in as invalid value for the color command. Should be a color name. Uh-oh. Oh, blued. Blued. The color of blued. Done. There we go. It flashes red when it gets a message. That's why I have to put these filters up, because if it gets the same color notification multiple times, hold on. Because it was for the on-air light, it was getting an update every couple seconds, and so that light would flash red, and so I had to put an end to that. That's what these filters do. They just basically block any repeat payload, block unless value changes, which is a super good thing to have. So sub or gift, we now differentiate between the two. The light will turn blue instead of blued, because blued isn't a color. Troubleshooting. I could probably put a toggle on these just so that I can test them, but we know that flow works because I copied and pasted it about 30 times. But here I'm trying to put together something that'll turn, when somebody says start soon in chat, I want stream start soon to get huge for like a couple seconds and then turn back to normal. So I'm trying to build that, and I've never done anything beyond what Leb sort of guided me through with OBS WebSockets. It's not set up yet. It doesn't do it. Look, the flows are not connected. They're not connected yet. So if that flow is triggered, if somebody, God damn it, if somebody says something in chat, it goes through the contain start soon, and if it contains any iteration of start soon that I want to validate, then we put a flow into a request to see whether or not the scene is enabled. And I don't know if that's working yet. So I have it going into this debug. I can activate that debug. What's that? That was yeah, the fart. That's working too. That's all the way down here. That's this one. And then maybe I could do a shout out thing. I don't know what to do with that yet. I don't know if I can activate anything. Maybe a screen. Send that to an MQTT screen so that I can see it. You guys are choosing the random one. And if you type anything other than 0 through 9, it'll make it random. Request get scene item enabled. So if I look at where was that? Leb posted it, but get scene. Oh, this is my least favorite song. This one has like weird whispering. I don't like the schizophrenic songs. Is it schizophrenic or is it, which one is that? Which mental, where you hear voices? Like these songs sometimes that these DJs choose have like a pretty good driving beat to it, but there's not that much that's unique to the song. And I don't remember which fart is the long, wet one. I don't know. You guys will have to identify them on your own. I'm not going to help you with that. Yeah, there's that one is particularly piercing, and I don't know what number it is. It's number 7. God damn it. The songs like this, it's not that it bothers me or it triggers me in any way. I just don't like it. Where you have a driving beat that's pretty good, but then in the background, you have something that sounds like schizophrenic voices saying stuff just because you need to fill your track with something. Oh no, we're going to be hammering that one for the rest of our lives, huh? I should not have given you this power. Get OBS scene item available. Scenes and groups. Get OBS scene item enabled. Calls the OBS WebSocket. Scene name. Scene UID. Scene item ID. Numeric ID of the scene item. We've been training for fart research like this for years. It's all through the microphone, too. Turn the information that would otherwise be sent to OBS. Pass through? Syntax. Scene name is a string. Scene UUID, scene item ID is a double. Oops. That's the schematic of the emote kicker. I'm still not sure if I can get away with this. I'm using the two of these in different contexts. That should get a resistor, but I'm pulling one up and the other one down. I don't think I need to find a PNP opto isolator. I don't think that's the case. There's a song I like called Enemy Between My Ears that just repeats that you're not awake. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't like schizo songs. I don't like to have like voices in my head. I understand that this is their style and their art and all that stuff. I just don't like it. So what am I doing here? What am I doing wrong? The scene name is only face. Here, I'll make that a little shorter so you guys can see it. So the scene name over here, let's say it's only face, and I'm looking to see if starts. What I basically want is, oh, you guys can't see. The scene has start soon on it. That's what I'm doing is I'm trying to check the status of this right here. This source. This source is enabled. I don't know if the scene and the source are separate from one another or if scene item, this would be an item in that scene, but it's part of a collection. I do have it in the right. Oh, it's O with a big O. Oh, let's try that. Let's see if that works. Oops. Big O. Let's try that. Done. Deploy. Confirm. Every time it warns me that nodes are not being used, and it's like, bitch, I am working at my best to try to get this thing to do something. Oh, whoops, that was the wrong toggle. This one. Ah, I got a giant syntax error. Why are we like zoomed out? Oh, probably because I zoomed out in order to see more of the stuff and drag it around and organize it. Position 0, error, syntax. Token is JSON at position 0. Syntax error, expected token. What am I doing wrong? Do I need to put this in brackets? Format. You do need it in brackets. One of these. And one of these. Does it have any problem with that? Nope, it seems to be okay with that. All right, deploy, confirm, toggle. Invalid to JSON property. Scene name, only face. Expected property name or bracket. Oh, do I need like a space in that? What do the other ones look like? Where am I doing that kind of parsing? That would be in the Stream Deck section. So here we have current program scene change, turn it into JSON, and then contains spring arm. OBS instance. That one is just carte blanche, formatting it into JSON. Where else are we using this stuff? Closed and open. I don't think we need that JSON in there because this just parses it anyway. And these are coming out of that. Stream state changed. Here's the get stream status. Request get stream status. But I'm not I'm not requesting, I'm requesting overall things. Stream status, state change, OBS connection status, set input settings, message payload, and the payload is determined by a function. What does it look like though? Let's put a debug on that. Put a debug on that, confirm, and then over here we're doing, this is this thing, so only face. I'm gonna do the quick setup procedure on it. One sec. All right, I think we've got something there. Event type, oh, that's the chat message. Wait, where's my debug? That should have set FPS. Are those broken? They might be broken. This flow might be broken. This Dracula flow. My flows is broken. So this one isn't even working. It might have something to do with the sneaky little function that Leb made. Message payload, input name, message parameter source, input settings, frame interval, blah, 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 blah. Return the message. And that's 1,000 divided %, message request parameters, FPS. Message request parameters, FPS is coming out from this. That's when it gets the HTTPS source. This turns it into a thing. Then the functions will set it. Oh boy, I got stuff to fix in here, I guess. I'm not quoting it properly. Yeah, this is the only example I have. That's the problem. This is the only example I have. Unless these are, I mean, these are JSON, but this is to, oh, okay. So it's got to be in quotes. Oh. You know, examples are nice. I like examples. Examples are a great way to perform sanity checks on even yourself. Everything's got to be in quotes because it's all strings. I forgot that they're not objects. They are string titles that describe functionality. Do I have to put a comma between them? I think I do. We'll check back in just a second. Hold on. I'm learning. He's doing it. He's learning. His neurons are firing off. They're exploding. Wait, that's bad. Done. Okay, so let's check back over with this. The yellow number 5. Power on. Yeah, commas in between. Okay, cancel. Wait. Commas everywhere? Shocking audiences everywhere. I don't know why that just jumped into my head. I'm like dumb. Blah, 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 blah. It is. Oh, does that say 0.8? That shouldn't be in there. I guess I'll leave it alone. I don't know. Power on, dimmer. And then just, oh, the number 0.8. Did that sneak in when it shouldn't have been there? And it's just defaulting it to a brightness. And then that would be a cut and paste error that would be everywhere. Yeah, 0.8 is everywhere now. Uh-oh. That's another, oh, that's a cut and paste error that's propagated the entire thing. I got to correct all of them now. Ugh. Double check over .40. So if I do that, boom, there's .40, and it's actually, that is actually dim. It's not defaulting. Why does it have a dot in there? What if I get rid of it? Oh, it's colon. That's a colon. Wait a minute. Cancel. It's a colon, as the Brits say. 0. Oops, I looked at an off. I should be looking at this. That's, oh, is that a colon? I can't see. It's not a colon. Power colon on comma dimmer colon 80. That must be why there was so many error messages. What a thing. Yeah, that one has a colon on it. So I just got to look out for the ones that have dots. I got to look at all these colors. That's a colon. The offs I think are fine. Yeah, that's fine. Nothing has failed to turn off. There's the colon. Colon, colon. These have colon. Those have colon. This one colon, that one colon. All right, I think I've got a better understanding of what's going on here. There's a lot of forced errors. So scene name, okay, that's not set yet. This one is what I'm working on. So it'd be quote, scene name, quote, colon, only face, done. And then we're just debugging it after that. What's 2 rules? Only got 1 rule. I guess the other one's for errors. Request get scene item enabled. Scene name only face. I don't know what I do with the rest of it, but let's just see what it does with that. Deploy, confirm, clear that, send this. Your request is missing the scene item ID. So the scene item ID. What the hell is that? Is scene item ID the start soon? So let's try channel chat message. What's up, shorted it out? That's a good name. So, comma, quote, scene item ID. What is it? Scene item capital I lowercase d. Scene item ID, colon, quote, start soon, quote. Done. Deploy. Confirm. Toggle. Must be a number. I'm shorted it out. Raw event. Fart. Really does have a linguistic bumpy road. It's the same thing with this blower. There's so many pitfalls. Ow, why did I just get like a sensation of being poked by a wire? Sometimes it's because I get poked by a wire. Other times it's just because my skin, like a neuron in my skin just suddenly decides to go blah, 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 and send a message down the pipe to my brain. Yeah, the fart did go off. Remember, you're hearing them through my microphone. So the fart machine is over on the other pillar of the desk. It's nearby. You should be able to hear them. But sometimes it's quiet because I'm not sitting right in front of the fart noise maker because it is rather loud. Where do I get the item ID? I do not know. Blending mode, show transform, full screen, filters, properties, add, set color, rename, order, transform. I mean, I could do a get item ID from OBS so that I know what it is. Maybe that's what I need to do. We need to find that. So we'll need a new Dracula flow. Or we could just reset this one. I just don't want to go through that big list. Get scene item ID. Index. Current program. Get scene transition override. Get source screenshot. It's scene item ID is what we're trying to get. Get scene transition. Get scene name. Set current scene. Set current program scene. This would be get scene item blend mode. Get scene item locked. Get scene item index. Index might be what we're looking for. But that doesn't seem quite right. Get scene item source. Get group scene item list. That's going to be a big list. Get scene item index, I guess. I mean, how do I know what the ID is? Hold on, before we go to that, it's scene UUID, string. Scene item ID, numeric ID of the scene item. You were looking at sources. Don't you need to look at the scenes in OBS? Well, yeah, they're the scenes. But I'm identifying it by name. Hold on, let's see. Rename, order. Yeah, there's no, I don't get that UUID here. I can't just look at, I have to like use the tool to get the UUID. The UUID should be for the source. But I don't think I have anything that's like get source UUID. OBS PowerShell, scene. I'm just trying to change the scenes, the source's visibility. Enabling all sources, deleting all sources. That's definitely not what I want. Add set OBS source. Jesus, I don't know, man. I don't know how to do this. Full list of commands. There we go. Source. Rotating source shader. Scene item source. Get the scene item source. Source active. That's what I'm looking for. Get OBS source active, but I don't think I have that in the Node-RED tools. Yeah, this should be all I need to do. Source name, but then I guess I need the UUID. What is the UUID? Where do you get that? See, we're scene. I'm looking for source, but I think you have to do it through get scene item because there's no mention of source on this pull down. This is a Node-RED WebSocket tool, OBS thingy. Scene collection, profile, stream service. I'm gonna look down here through, oh, wait a minute. Source filter list. Source filter name. Source filter. That's the filters on the sources. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking to see, is the source visible? Input, toggle input audio. See, I've done this before on stream where I look for the thing and I don't find it, but I'm doing it again because it seems like every time I look at this, there's a new thing. Trigger media input action, no. Virtual cam status, no. Even has some virtual camera stuff in there. That's interesting. But yet it doesn't have a YouTube streaming. It doesn't do that for me. Excuse me, sorry. Pause record, split record, create chapter, get scene item list. Scene item list, scene name, unless that's, I don't know if that's going to work. Get scene item ID. Create scene item. I think what it's doing is it's calling the scene item is the source. I think that's what it is. Unless scene item is the individual scene itself. Because it would ask whether or not it's enabled. And I can't disable the scenes. I can only enable and disable scene items. Set scene name, get scene item transition. Yeah, I think that's what it is, because get stream status. There's nothing about sources unless you're an open source projector, but none of it's like specifically source. So get scene item ID. Scene name only face. Scene item ID is not right. Scene item name. Let's see what it says over here. Scene item. Get OBS scene item calls from the OBS WebSocket per request. That's not the right one. Scene item. There we go. Group scene item. Yeah, okay, so it's a group of scene items. Blend mode enabled. So I do want enabled, but I need that ID. So get OBS scene item ID. How does that work? Searches a scene for a source and returns its ID. So scene name string. And then UUID of the scene or group to search in. Source name, search offset. What the hell? Ugh. All right, let's just see. Get scene item ID. If I have that one. These are, I think I'm searching two different things. This isn't necessarily what I've got available in this thing. Why are there so many PMs? Oh, okay, all right. Friend wanted to show off his wonderful barbecue that he ate. Oh, I didn't update the end of stream command. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted here. This would be, when are we streaming next? It would probably be Tuesday. Tuesday, which is sooner than I thought, the 8th. That will set up the command. Okay, so now back to what I was looking at. Back to what I was looking at over here. This is just pre-stream stuff. I'm noodling around with Node-RED to try to learn me how to use it and hopefully get a little bit of functionality out of it. But last time, what I tried to do was set up something that would be aware of whether or not start soon is active. And if it is, and somebody says start soon in the chat, it's going to petulantly disable this one and enable a much larger one for like a second. And eventually I can build that to use transitions so that it'll just stretch the normal one. Transitions, or just have it do a direct transform. So let's see if this works. So I'm looking in OBS scene item ID, get OBS scene item ID. Do we have that command? Get scene item ID. Okay, so what are we passing into it? We're passing in a string. Required, false, false. Name of the source defined. True. So that one's required. So the name is source name. Source name. And so that should be good. Done. Deploy. And then remove, toggle. Scene item ID must be a number. What the? Get scene item ID, but the scene item ID must be a number. What the? That's not how that works. Get scene item ID. That's this command. Scene item ID. Get scene item ID. You send it a source name. And you can send it a scene name. but for some reason it's not returning. This is not a required parameter. What's going on here? Try deploying it again. Maybe it didn't deploy. Your request is missing the source name field. What the fuck? Oh, lowercase s. No scene items were found in the specified scene by that name or offset. Start soon? Literally just start soon? What are you smoking? It's right there. Is it because it's in a group? Is it because it's in the overlays group? But that's a group of sources. Try just look for spring arm. These are capitalized. Spring arm. Lowercase a? No, lowercase a. Jeez. Source name, spring arm, done. Deploy, confirm, test. Okay, so it's not finding it. Scene name, only underscore face. Well, okay, that's only face. I should do I should do one that actually does contain that spring arm. Let's look in only spring arm. Deploy. Test. Okay, so the scene item ID of spring arm is 58. I hate that I had to go through all that trouble in order to find it. So then, how do I look in that folder? Pass through, no response. Name of the thing to search in. Get scene item ID. I don't know how to do that. Scene item, copy scene item. Group scene item. So get OBS, damn it. Get OBS group scene item. Do I do the ID? This is getting very confusing. Get scene item list, but for groups. Using groups at all in OBS is discouraged, as they are very broken under the hood. Please use nested scenes instead. Nested scenes? What? Get OBS group scene item calls the OBS WebSocket with a request type get group scene item list. Nested. What? Nested scenes? I don't think I can add a scene into here. Display, game, image slideshow. Scene. Oh. So maybe I shouldn't have grouped all of my overlays into this. I'm not gonna undo this right now because that's a significant amount of stuff that I need to do. But that would be a big OBS fix, is to have scenes for all of my audio, a scene for all of my overlays and stuff. That's crazy. I did not know. But apparently this is like, these folders are very broken and I'm using them. That's not good. But then if I go to the audio scene, there would be no visuals on it, right? Apparently I can just nest a scene in here. And that's the less broken way to do it. Oh boy. Okay, so that changes things. That means I'm going to have to do homework with this. It's going to be a significant amount of OBS No, we don't need that schematic. Back to node red. Okay, so apparently I need to redo, so I'm going to add a note. Comment. Use and group stuff in scenes, then add a scene as a source. This is better because reasons, but it will also let me get scene item ID more easily, because there's the grouping is super very broken. Done. I guess I'll keep those toggles there, but I'm going to take out this debug now, and then yeah, I'll have to come back to this later. Do this to OBS. And then we redeploy. And we can delete all that. Basically, it's going to simplify that little search that I'm doing. So what'll happen is if somebody says something and it contains the word start soon, it'll go through that is start soon live node. I can then peel away the ones where the source isn't already alive, and then I can send it an enable or disable on the scene item ID that's not in a folder. So it'll be from a secret scene that just has all of my audio and another secret scene that just has all of my overlays on it. And then I add those scenes into the main scene instead of the filter one, which I don't know what that means in terms of like my universal overlays. Because if start soon is enabled, that'll be in the same spot on every single screen. Okay, on this screen, apparently it's been dragged off of the field. And this seems like it's zoomed in. I don't know. Hold on. So where are my overlays on this one? Something like broke a bunch of these. When you start moving stuff around, it breaks. And I think that's part of what they're talking about. Where is it? Okay, let's try to pull this in a little bit. There it is. It was hiding. That's why you pull it in as its own scene. All right, it's all making a little bit more sense to me now. But it will be in the same spot on every single scene. But I guess that's a good thing. So I have a little bit of OBS homework to do. I always have homework to do. How's it going, everybody? We got a very few people here because I guess the people who watch me in their office can't because we're yeah. But anyway, that'll help me get to the rest of this stuff and fix it, and then I can do cheeky things like have the stream start soon trigger a transform on the scene itself so that it gets big, no matter which camera is active. That means I'm gonna have to change my Node Red stuff too, or the Stream Deck stuff, so that I can enable and disable these scenes properly. Because all those overlays are gonna move. Oh, what a pain in the butt. What a pain in the butt. It's going to be a lot of copying and pasting in my future. Meanwhile, I have been working a little bit on the emote kicker, the 100-volt emote kicker. I'm a little nervous about the size of the wires, though. These are not that substantial. And those are going to go into this crimp over here, where I've shortened this significantly, too. But, like, this is the original wire size. So, I mean, if the wires get hot, so be it. That'll be funny. If they explode, that's kind of bad. Because anything can be a fusible link if you try hard enough. But I'm a little worried about the wire size with 100 volts at umpteen number of amps screaming out of these giant capacitors. These capacitors are going to go on a board. I have two more of these caps. I could peel the two that are in my old power supply thing, but I think I still need them. So the three capacitors was enough to really kick an emote out. I'm going to make a large trace, wire, desoldering braid circuit on this. So that'll be the big capacitor bank, and that'll put everything sort of in a nice spot to where I could maybe 3D print a cap for it so it doesn't shock the ever-loving piss out of me while I'm streaming if I happen to lean over the thing. The whole push to put this thing on perforated prototyping board is because it's high voltage. There's 100 volts here and 100 volts across this thing exposed. If I can link them all down and get them soldered onto something, that means I can kind of move it around a little bit and actually like play with the mechanicals more easily. So it'll probably be fine for the time it'll be working. And besides, the wires can be the fusible link. I don't want them to be, though. These are 1 amp. Like, I don't think you can get away with more than an amp on this. The main thing is the actual clip itself, I think, might narrow down. I think that might be the fusible link in the whole thing. But anyway, let's put all of this aside. That's my homework, is working on that thing. Although I love working on it. We don't get that many viewers when we actually work on something like that. When we do just pure soldering, I don't think people are as excited about that as I am. This is the fun part for me. I love doing that. But we're going to take something apart today. We're going to take a look at this little air duster that was sent in by an anonymous viewer. Why is this red? This is like dark red. What happened? Is it? Oh, because I sent it that command a little while ago. That's right. It doesn't get an off command unless I send it. Bonk. There we go. Now it's off. I'm monitoring you guys because I'm trying to get all of the... Actually, I think I got all the stuff that I wanted to get. We got point redeem, shout out receive, sub or gift, and that's channel subscription message or subscribe gift. And then we've got a raid here for purple light if somebody happens to raid me. We can upgrade this later to have like the number of people and stuff like that. Funny how all that works. Same goes for Doug when he's coding for a gaming challenge. Everybody watches and then he plays the game and half the people have gone. Yeah, it's what it's the part that I love, like the soldering. But the problem is the soldering takes a lot of time. And you know, people want stuff to happen. I cannot make something that is sloppy. I know a lot of streamers thrive off of that, and that's when you get like lots of content, lots of people are like, yeah, it's popping off, it's a lot of fun. Every time I look at the screen, something funny happens. I can't live my life that way. It'd be a little too dangerous. Yeah, that's where Uo has the very strong advantage over me. I need to work on that. I need to work on things popping off a little bit more and being a little bit more exciting. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I'm not good enough. All right, let's put this stuff up here and stop being such a introspective weirdo. Put this up here for now where it's out of the way. I need to be more like Popov. Petra Popov. Is that an actual person? I don't know who that is. I never heard that name before in my life. I want to shake his hand. Put this way over here. Just this stuff. Well, okay, we'll just pile it up over here. I just need a little bit of room so that we can see all the components of this thing and get it on camera and have a good time just taking it apart. Oh, these definitely need to go away into a proper thing. I decided not to do screw terminals because those what are they called? What are those called? JST connectors are shrouded on all sides. So once a JST is plugged in, you can't really brush against it and get 100 volts, whereas this always has an exposed thing and another exposed thing. Insulin fiasco is turning into a fiasco and drama. That sucks. I had to go to the pharmacy, and the guy took one look at it and hit a couple keys on the keyboard, and he went, oh, something's weird. We were supposed to fill 15 bottles. We only have 5 in stock. And I'm like, oh, so you guys actually do stock up on my insulin because I need it monthly. So you actually have the right amount. So all of our assumptions about them not being in stock were wrong. They actually did stock up properly. But he was like, we only got 5 bottles. We don't have 15. I'm like, I've never picked up 15 bottles from you. I always get 5. And he's like, must be an error in the computer. I'm like, must be an error in the computer, huh? Huh? What the fuck? Like, I'm sitting here getting ready to ration my insulin that I'm completely approved of getting by the healthcare companies and everybody's nodding their heads going, yep, you should get insulin. This guy gets insulin. Um, and all the doctor approvals. Yep. Everybody's nodding. Yep. That guy should definitely get insulin. And then CVS has some kind of a forced error on it. Who the hell knows where that comes from? Why does CVS always mess up? My other medical device company never messes up. In fact, they contact my doctor and they get all of the appropriate approvals with insurance on their own in the background, whereas CVS just seems to exist to make us suffer. It's so annoying. Anyway, that's my rant. I sorted out all of my insulin stuff, so I got the prescription. I had to wait for it, and that's why I didn't stream yesterday, because I was sitting at pharmacies. I hope Godspeed to your efforts, Lawn Dog. I hope you get your insulin, because it's so frustrating out here. I got to 3D print a little hook to hang the tube on, the air tube. That or just redesign my entire work area. I don't know. The silicon rubber tubes, they hold on to dust and they'll drag stuff and just like catch on things. Very, very, very frustrating to work with. Yeah, I got my Stay Alive juice re-upped for a month. Thanks to the approval of all of the higher-ups and the efforts that my doctor shouldn't have to go through. And they also decided that I could treat my ADHD for another month too. That's always nice to have your brain work, get all the approvals for your brain to work. His brain no work, no good. Apparently the Smeagol, it looks like the Sengli looks like Smeagol. Looks like you're saying the Smeagol. Smeagol in generic form that they tried to order comes up as unavailable. And then my problem with CVS is that they don't let you know anything that's going on. And now you can't talk to the pharmacist directly. You have to leave a message and they have to call you back. So I left a message and they ignored it. So I drove to CVS where it was instantly solved. They just want to waste your time. They wanted to make it hard enough that you don't actually get your stuff. But I thought that was their job. That's one thing I like about 3D printing. You can make your own little gadgets, your own little hangers. Yeah, the organizational properties of 3D printing are quite good and powerful. It's kind of amazing. That's why I stopped going to CVS. I really wish I could use the other medical provider to get all of that stuff. You know, some people in my area of business, that you bring them the 3D printing you want and they make it. Yeah, there are places like that. The maker spaces will often do that. Libraries also can have 3D printers too. Although I don't know exactly how that works. You gotta do the footwork on your own. Whenever like Reddit suggests, hey, just go to the library, it's like, not everybody's library is good enough to have a 3D printer. Need to find out the details on doing it. Yeah, because there are the varying details, and the people who have a 3D printer will just say, go to the library. But you might need to find like a makerspace or, whatever. Beg the guy at Micro Center to print out your Penosaurus. Penosaurus is an actual 3D print object. It's a little dinosaur. It's a dinosaur. I don't think Micro Center will want to. Yeah, if Fatanon, as always, will print out Icosauruses all day. Okay, we're gonna do a teardown. Let me get the music out of here. I don't know how long this is gonna take, so I have a menagerie. What a word. What a word. What a world. Music down. Pause it. Over to the face cam just in time for me to burp. Ow. That was a little bit spicy. Hi, welcome to my stream, where I tolerate chat. No, it's not that. I want to take something apart, because we haven't done anything in a while. We used to have every Friday, I would find some kind of a gaming device, because I've got a few controllers and things that are just kind of fun to it's fun to take apart and see what makes it tick and see how it works and what goes into the engineering of it. And it's not so much that, we're on a discovery mission of how a thing works. It's more like, let's see what Bother finds in the design for this thing. because my personality being injected into the whole process is part of it. It's the desired outcome. I could just look up on YouTube and find somebody tearing down any number of common things, right? There's a lot of people that do that kind of stuff. I do it personally because I want to, first of all, look at certain aspects of a device and figure out how it works and get all that information in my head so that when I'm building something, I can take cues. Oh, remember that thing? That did this way. So then I can design it as well. It's sort of just getting to know the language of design in a device that you're taking apart. The other part of it is that sometimes it's a challenge. When something isn't just plastic welded together, which is where they take a piezo element and they just super duper fast shake one piece of plastic against another, that causes heating on the boundary, and then the MERS, all of the MERS of the polymer start to get to know one another, and you get a welded bond that's almost as strong as the plastic. That's plastic welding. I hate that stuff. It's very hard to get into a device when you have that, although a lot of manufacturers use that because you can't pop it out. I'm a big fan of finding tub bro buttons. That's in the bin down there. Yeah, we had a turbo button that was misspelled. So you can cold weld metal too? Yeah, but that's whatever. Anyway, point is, plastic welding is our enemy. If we can get into the device cleanly, we can learn a lot about how it works and how complicated something like that is to build, and just, get to know what people are doing these days. So this is I guess a modern device. It's not like old-timey because this is like right on the backs of super powerful lithium-ion batteries and dumping a ton of current into a thing. The thing that we're dumping it into is a silvery-looking impeller. This might be a three-phase motor. I'm not sure. There are 3 speeds on it, so it might have a 3-phase digital motor controller. But what this is, and they don't call it that. It's a duster, not a blower, because I guess they don't want to say blow a lot. But yeah, this is a battery-powered duster, and it's basically spray air, but without having to have the pressurized liquid. Instead, you have a lithium-ion battery that probably wants to explode. So you have to turn it on. That's the first inconvenience. Then, when you press the button, you get a lot of air. And actually, you can feel a little bit of thrust coming off of this thing, too. If only it had pushed a lot of air into those little straws on canned air. Yeah, it doesn't have a straw. It instead just has a cone. It comes with a couple different cones. It comes with a little bag that you can put it in, or a brush and stuff like that. This was sent by an anonymous gifter. The company is not affiliated with me in any way whatsoever. The brand was chosen by the random gifter. And so we're going to take this thing apart, figure out what makes it tick. But just know that no sponsorship at all is involved with this. No sponsorship at all. Nope. That actually does a pretty good job of tossing the emote in the air. No, maybe not. That is actually a better throw than the than the solenoid. I'd have to have a solenoid clicker, hold it in place, then this thing turns on, then it would release it. I don't think that would be very loud. That's the only problem with this thing, is that it's loud. This thing is capable of getting out of its own way, though. I mean, you can see there's a lot of heat. I guess that's from my hand, though. Any particular part of this getting... Obviously, the motor itself gets very warm during operation because they're dumping a ton of current into it. And then, I guess, what's the over-under on this thing using either circular cells or barrel, cylindrical. There we go. It's a cylinder. Basic shapes. Does it use a cylindrical shell, a cylindrical battery, or just a big giant square? It is heavy. It's got a bit of heft to it. I wonder if there's just a piece of metal in the handle, though. It'll empty a litter box in ways you don't want. What's that? If only you put a lot of air in the cans of air, so used to the confined target area. I need random gifters. What? What are these comments? You have to know there's a delay on your comments, so if you're commenting on something that I said immediately, it's going to get to me by the time my brain has moved on. You think one big square? Don't use leaf blowers indoors. That's some good advice. So this is, looking at this thing, we've got a couple areas where there could potentially be fasteners, but over here we have no real prominent seam. There's a USB-C charger. There's the seam. So there's the seam. So one piece of this is like a cup. And then the seam is hidden at the edge of this sort of, I don't know, band that goes down the whole thing. So there's the power button, and that's where you mode select. And then over here is the go button. We can see through here that there is a PCB, so this is hinting at it being some kind of a three-phase motor, as well as the little LEDs that actually has blue LEDs that light up when you use it here. Let's turn it on. That's the only thing I don't like, is that you have to press this button for a little while to turn it on. That's really dramatic. Look at that. Ah! Okay, that's so loud. I'm not gonna activate it anytime soon again. The motor is pretty well balanced for what it is. It's not shaking around too crazily. It has a vape light, yeah. That gets brighter when it goes faster. And I guess I'm wondering, I guess this is a three-phase motor with a propeller on the front. Why would you have such a big hub on that? Maybe you're just, what? But that's metal. Unless this is chromed plastic. If it's chromed plastic, excuse me, if it's chromed plastic, well, maybe you have that there because of the size of the motor behind it. I guess that's probably the case, huh? And maybe it goes back a little and has, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Now, looking at this thing, I mean, it seems like the best way for us to get into it is probably going to be to remove the rubber grips on the side, right? That's probably going to reveal to us a couple of screws. And then the two halves of the plastic shell, the piece here. Oh, it goes all the way around. Okay, that is, the seam is still up here. So there's going to be clips up here. Because this, I don't think, is removable. No, not removable. And then this piece in the end is likely captured by the two pieces of the shell. Because, like, yeah, that probably has clips. Okay, so let's get this off first. So I'm going to spudge that. Spudge that. I don't know if I'll get this off cleanly, but... And I also don't know who sent this in. I think they wanted to remain anonymous. There are certain people that I know who are likely to be that anonymous gifter, but it is fun to... I was expecting something else, and then I get this. Look at all the responsibility that's been foisted upon me. No, like I say, my policy about sending stuff in here, like if you go on Amazon, you look at the wish list or whatever, be aware that it might not appear. So if you're sending me weird stuff, I'm just not going to respond. If you send something that's vaguely interesting like this, there's a chance that I'll do a teardown of it. But otherwise, I mean, I kind of want this thing to survive this process. Although I'm not too keen on having more giant lithium-ion batteries sitting around. Still, it is actually kind of useful as a duster. So I kind of want to keep it around. But let's take it apart and figure out what makes it tick. But again, if you send something in, it's akin to throwing it in the garbage. I may pick it out of the garbage. I may not ever mention it. But I also might do stuff with it. So it's up to you to figure out whether or not you want to send something. I certainly will thank you for it if it's not something stupid. And I have to have that policy because I don't want people sending me really sort of terrible things. It can happen. So I took the two screws out and nothing happened. I don't think we'll have screws under here, but I should probably look. Yeah, electronics, the same thing about electronics to scrap. Well, mostly it's, I don't want your old computer power supply. That's what I have to tell my friends. They get on the upgrade path, on the war path, and they're like, I'm going to get a new power supply and give the old one to my buddy. Yeah, see, nothing here. Okay, that was predictable. Not a bad idea, though, having a big prominent rubber grip sticker in the middle of your device and having that hide the screw holes. But then using clips is the first annoying thing that this thing has done. Now, if I get into this top seam, we spudge our way in with a little bit of an angle. Yeah. How many times have I done the same? I took the screws out and nothing happened. Yeah, it's because they use plastic clips and everything so that when you really grip down on this thing, you don't hear it like creaking and you know, coming apart. And especially like if I squeeze it like this, which is, you know, where your grip is going, it doesn't open up the seam and then pinch you. So everything is plastic clips. PSUs don't have anything of interest. Yeah. Even the big capacitors in them are so PSU specialized that it's just not, they're not really worth it. Okay, so there were no, I mean, you can kind of see some screws over here, but I don't think they're in any way related to the rest of this thing going together. I think it is just plastic clips. So what I need to basically do is get the spudger in there and separate one of them, and that should open things up a little bit more. And so you kind of just try to find a space where your spudger is going to start going through, or I could use a screwdriver. The screwdriver is going to hurt this very, very cheap plastic that they use. This stuff is see how what the spudger did over here. It's going to do that to any of the stuff that I pick at anywhere else. And it's already started to warp this plastic up here. These devices are designed to go together. They're not designed to be taken apart. So what they do is they'll have the plastic deform and the clips will hold it together, and then there's no way to get it apart after that. So I am trying to find an area where I can just get a little something in there. And then I can pry it and hopefully get the clips to pop out, because they might as well have not used screws in this thing. I guess screws are there in case you drop it down a flight of stairs. Like an Apple product with one-way assembly. Yeah, I mean, that's the norm now. No seams, one-way assembly. This is just not doing. I'm putting big chew marks into the edge of this thing. I don't think there's any other fasteners. I don't know where they would have put them. We looked on the bottom of the shell and they're not there. So I think there's a PCB going along this PCB along here, because we've got a right angle USB-C. We have the LEDs coming out of this end, and we have LEDs coming out of the front end. So we've got side buttons that are on the sides of the PCB, and then we will have motor controller electronics as well as two big batteries sitting in this thing. I'm going to guess that it's going to be two big barrel-shaped batteries. And yeah, this would be a right angle to the PCB. These are on the bottom side of the PCB. These, maybe they're on a separate PCB. I don't know. Okay, those are my predictions, but we'll see if that's actually true. I don't know why you would want multiple PCBs in a device like this, because you really only have, like if you have one board that controls everything, that's that. It's much cheaper to make than having like, oh, we have a PCB at a right angle over here, and we've got one over here. We'll see what we get when we get this thing open. It's just not cooperating at the moment. I don't want to have to put this into a device. Now up here, it's only held together by plastic clips, so I would think this would be a relatively easy place to pop open. Though I am being proven wrong by the minute. Yeah, only two screws and in the very middle. Why were the screws there if this thing is nigh on impenetrable? Maybe they did some drop tests with it? Seems weird that there would be two screws just for, and they're tiny little ones too. This thing is not giving way. It doesn't like, no, it's the whole thing is one big door around the whole thing here. Okay, this is the worst part about doing this, is getting plastic clip shells to spread open. There we go, I heard a pop. That's our first one. There we go. Oh, these aren't that bad. Okay, so using the separation here, and hopefully not shorting out a giant battery, Try not to get too deep into the thing. Going over here and just giving it a little pry. So they're always very annoying. Some of these are going to break. These ones are pressure out from the top, so they're out this way. So I need to just bend this either out or this in order to get it to release. But they're not held on that hard, so gave way pretty easily. Man, I could have made that look so much easier. That one just didn't work. I was getting in there with the screwdriver. It just didn't want to let go. Interesting. So this is a lot easier to take apart than I thought. You guys can see by how pristine that seam was that I have not been in this device already, right? So when my predictions come true, you guys know that it's pure skill on your streamer's part in predicting what the design of this thing is going to be like. Come on. There we go. Yo-ho! No wonder it's so freaking heavy. So 2 circuit boards. I was wrong. I was very wrong. My God, I was so wrong. How could I have predicted such a thing? Okay, so these are way above the 21700, but it's 2 of the barrel things shrink wrapped together. At least you'll get an early indication on the thermal cam if you penetrate the battery. It's true. Thermal cam has a lot to say about stuff like that. So we've got a control board up top. Okay, that makes sense because you've got the 2 inputs over here, and then you have a charging board down below where your charge indicator is. So not one singular unified circuit board, you got 2 for 2 separate functions. Although it doesn't activate while it's charging, so I wonder if this is sensing something. So we can take the blower out of here. That's held down by 1 screw. 1 singular screw. Let me get the light in here. We got a decent capacitor. It's a little small. We got a big screw and some pretty advanced motor control FETs. They're super small. Down here we got another screw holding this board in. And a balance charge connector. Hey, that's not typical of something like this. Usually you'll see them completely cheap out. 3 billion milliamp hours. Yeah, and then this thing is going to be like super duper dumping all of its current into the motor controller. 3 billion milliamp hours to run an angry impeller blower. Is this a thing you can buy? Just something like a shrouded impeller like this? Be careful that things don't... Is this heating up? What's going on? No, that's just me. Okay. All right, so we can grab this out of here and hopefully remove all the stuff at once without huge sparks flying everywhere. I'd really rather not have huge sparks flying everywhere, but this thing is connected to the batteries semi-permanently, so I've got to be careful around it, especially with metal tools. There's that. Any other screws down here? That guy. Okay, we'll get this one. My hand's shadow is like hugely prominent in this. So this is essentially a giant battery with its own charger that's connected to essentially an RC like drone motor controller. Oh, there's one up top. Or it just is hard to get. Do you see a screw in there? Screw? Hello? Oh, I see. That's just a clip. I see. Okay. There we go. All right. Now this is a little close up. Let's back up a little bit here while I get all this stuff out. So it is 3-phase. I've got three wires coming out of this thing. Oh boy. So the USB connector sticks through the plastic a little bit. Why aren't you moving? There we go. Oh, I see. We got tape holding the 3-pin connector down. So I guess I can unplug this. You know, they use a plug and a socket, even though this thing is never supposed to be taken apart. Funny how that is. Like a whole wiring harness. We'll take a look at the charger too. Why use a plug with a socket? Oh, and that's a light. This is a light pipe. When you want your LEDs to indicate something to the user and they need to be in a specific location, it often pays off not to have your lights directly in that, your LED core directly in that location. You would have it somewhere else on a PCB, and so you would use a light pipe to take the light out to where it goes. Now what's going to happen is internal reflection. Are they using internal reflection, or are they just letting it bounce all around? So why is it rough right there? Oh, ain't doing that for grip. You get down to your circuit board using a light pipe, and then I guess, so right here, I guess these are a form of Fresnel lens. They're basically just bouncing that light so that it enters the plastic at an angle and all gets to your various indicators. And these are done in a little swoop-de-hoop. It's a little arc, but they could put that nub anywhere on this and get even light. And it also helps dull the light a little bit so that you're not blasting your consumer's eyes out. I don't know why nobody can seem to do this, but if you're putting an LED on a device, you need to adjust the brightness, because at the maximum brightness, often LEDs are punishing to the consumer eye. So you sit in sort of a dim room with your device and you figure out what kind of resistors you want to put on those LEDs. Or you go into your software and you PWM those things so that you're not blasting somebody's eyes out whenever the LED is on. When blue LEDs were like a newish thing, any sort of tech device that used a blue LED would just obliterate you with blue light. I had one on my computer case, and I went to bed, and the whole room was illuminated blue and blinking. Violent fans. Violent fans. Nobody wants violent fans. Violent fans. I'm going to type that into the browser, I guess. So that looks very uncomfortable to use. The thing that we have is a lot rounder and easier to grip, I guess. This is all metal bands and one company. So Beast Motoring rechargeable. Yeah, the company? What company? List of violent incidents between sports participants and, okay. Wants to be a mosh pit. I'm looking for the company Violent Fans. I guess it's probably mentioned in here, but the problem is Violent Fans, that doesn't work. 3-phase. Violent Fans, here we go. Global source. Wireless Violent Turbo Fan with 3-phase brushless motor. Nope, not what I'm looking for. Not what I'm looking for. They might use the same product up here. I'm looking for the base product of that what is it? Blower motor. Automotive use. Who designed this? That's terrible design. It's kind of bad. Okay, what do we got? Yeah, Violent Femmes, not no. No, it's literally Violent Fans. Do we have like a model number or anything? Violent Fans is a weird name for your impeller fan company. It's a very strange name. It seems more like like not a white product selling company. White label product, I mean. White product. It's bread. it's for white people. So we can get that out of there, and we will get that out of there. Let's just take a look at some of the other parts and some of the other facets of this design. Boy, facets and fascists. It's very easy to say one or the other when you're slurring your words around and not intentionally enunciating everything. Yeah, Big Ass Fans makes those huge fans that you see at like Planet Fitness and like Home Depot and stuff. There's these huge fans that are on gear drives. Huge fans. Not to be confused with OnlyFans. So our battery is connected directly with very short leads. That's because this thing is chunking, absolutely just munching on that power. It's using like a ton of power. We've got two controllers here. I don't know what one or the other is. Let's see. So this is, I don't think that's ST Micro. It's some kind of a GT or just a T. I forget whose logo looks kind of like that. XT810 2431C. Yeah, XT810 +1 for not sanding off. Yeah. That is a phone. XT810 2431C. Unless that's a date code, which it might be. What? Get out of here, AI. You're so annoying. So it's insisting on being Motorola. So typically here I would either use a packaging if it was a common. This is not an SO package, I don't think. It's a slight variation with closer pins. So it might be something weird. Also on products like this, on products that are like this, you'll find a lot of Chinese suppliers that are supplying the microcontrollers and stuff, and oftentimes they just don't have a data sheet, or the data sheet is completely in Chinese, which still can be helpful, but sometimes there just is not a data sheet. It would be a data sheet that would be like communicated with the company that's buying millions of these things for the product, and then they put it all together and they throw it up onto the internet, and you're SOL for actually finding anything about this. 2024-0831, which is why I think that lower number is a date code. 2024 31 week or something like that. Yeah. Also had some success searching the part number on Baidu. Okay. I've never tried that. I haven't tried that. So we might not be able to figure out what the identity of that chip is. That other chip, what is that one? There's no identifying markings on it at all. I don't believe that. There's got to be something. I don't see anything. I don't see any markings. I'm wondering if that's just the memory module. It's going off to this stuff. And then this stuff goes over to this stuff. So we got little I2C communication, or SPI. SPI, look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going into the other chip. The other chip is what we are hitting the buttons at. And then we've got some filtering, possibly, I don't know if this chip is doing any battery monitoring. Although if the thing is charging, it can turn off. It'll tell this thing that it's charging and it'll stop functioning. Why would we have two chips here? I think one has to be a memory module. Oh, unless this one's doing the switching of the FETs. So over here we've got 6 FETs. They're being given a lot of heat sinking. There's battery monitoring across that. So there's a little trace that goes all the way back to the controller where it'll measure the analog current that's across this very, very small resistor. And that's how it knows how much battery is left. So both this and the battery charger are monitoring the battery. There's two XT512, same company, and then a similar, that may be a charging controller. That might be a specific charging controller, like a balancing charging controller. Oh, ground, 5 volts, clock, and data. And part of my lunch on my nail. Get out of here. Cleanish. Okay. 10, 15, 24, huh? Plus, minus, RX, and TX. Okay, so it's doing RX and TX to get to the other end. So this thing will probably be like, hey, I'm charging. And so this one will be like, all right, I won't let them use the device for a little bit. And then the FETs we have are, oh God, they're indecipherable. Hold on, let's twist it around. Let's see. This thing's a pretty dangerous little device, huh? We get the shroud off of the violent fan. We can take a look at what that all looks like too. But it's a violent device. I mean, this thing creates thrust when it turns on. It's, I guess, an appropriate name, violent fans. I thought I had Philadelphia had the lock on violent fans. Not necessarily that violent, just belligerent. LO302A. LO302A. Yeah, they're big. They're big silicon jacketed. LO302A, 30 volt, 1.2 milliohm, N-channel power MOSFET. I mean, that was predictable because there's 6 of them. Wait, if there's 6, no, you still need 6 to control the 3 phases. That's right. I was like, wouldn't you not need so many MOSFETs because it can go backwards? It doesn't need to go backwards? That's not true. You need all 6 there. You can go forwards and backwards if you swap a wire or if you, trigger the MOSFETs differently. The circuit is basically going to look like this. 3-phase motor controller schematic. Images. And then this one is probably pretty good. Blow it up, make it huge. I want to blow up. Okay, so you have your 3 phases of the motor with the center phase connected because you only want 3 wires coming out of this thing. I'll tell you something, the power company saves a lot of money not having to run a 4th wire on all of the towers. That's why on the poles you see groups of 3. You look for that uneven group of 3. It always bugs me when you see the power pole and then it's got 1 on one side and 2 on the other. I don't know how the power company reconciles that, but anyway, in this configuration, it's called a Y configuration because that is the letter Y. It's just upside down in this drawing. And then you have 6 power MOSFETs. 3 of them are going, three of them, jeez, suffer and succotash. 3 of them are going to ground, 3 of them are going to positive power across, basically as opposed to one another. And so as you trigger these, you are activating certain phases of the motor. Now the motor is not as simple as that. It's not just 3 coils. It's going to be a group of 3 coils that are dispersed around the radius of the motor. And so when you're activating the one phase, all 3, 6, 9, 12 of them are turning on in parallel, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, it's spelled W-Y-E just because we had to spell it weird. But anyway, this is a basic 3-phase motor controller. That's how it's organized. And so you can send positive power to one coil and negative power to another. And through the combination, you have your phases running around, basically. You're PWMing them so that your overall power being sent is going to be kind of like a wave, a positive, negative sine wave. And the 3 are going to be a number of degrees out of phase with one another. I think is it 90? No. Whatever. Anyway, I don't want to do all that math. Motors are just math. That's all they are. They're just math. They're pure, unadulterated math. And I used to take high-level courses in that math. It's all control systems. It's nuts. 120. Yeah. Okay. There. Thank you. There's just so much math in motors. You don't need to know all that math. Just know that when you see 6 MOSFETs, they're doing a 3-phase thing. And when you got 3 wires running to your motor, it's in a Y configuration and it's a 3-phase Y motor. The thing about the reason that these motors are so prominent, I mean, first of all, we have 3 phases that run to the house. So if you want to hook up a motor in a factory, you just hook it up to all 3 of the phases. Boom, now it's running, right? That was back in the day. Nowadays, things are vastly more complicated. You have a lot more stuff around it. But I mean, it is one of the more efficient ways to send power over a distance. And the power that goes into it is used really, really well. So when you have a 3-phase motor like this in a hobby scenario, we're using permanent magnets on this one, I believe. It could be 2 sets of coils, but I think it's permanent magnets, and they are rare earth magnets. And so if you control that with a 3-phase controller, a lot of the energy that you're sending in actually becomes output on the outset there. So these 3-phase motors are extremely powerful
for the size and the weight. That's why you see them in drones. That's why drones kind of popped off all of a sudden, is because not only were the controllers getting more capable, GPS getting smaller and all that stuff, they also, the rare earth magnet 3-phase outrunner style motor was also able to be manufactured very cheaply. So that's when drones became suddenly vastly popular. And RC cars, good lord, I was not messing with RC cars while they were getting all of these incredibly powerful upgrades. But man, RC cars and boats and whatnots, they've really popped off. This is plastic. Is that plastic? No, that's metal. I think it's metal. Shouldn't be anything but super cheap metal. Yeah, very efficient at the electrical to mechanical energy conversion. But we've always known about 3-phase motors and stuff. We had those since the early days of generating electricity. It's just the advent of the small consumer style 3-phase motors and the ability for the FETs to be very small and surface mount and powerful. You know, the whole trench FET, JFET thing. They're able to switch this tiny little piece of silicon down here that's very carefully wafer thin, is able to switch all of the current of this lithium-ion battery. It's crazy. What kinds of FETs are they? Do their backpacks have jets? A bounty hunt for Jabba Hutt to finance my bet. Wicked. N-channel, they're not. So this company may not be advertising as much to us as the other ones. The other ones, they often talk about the process and they're like, trench FET, JFET with this and such technology. Whereas data sheets like this are just like, here's the part, this is what it does. It's like, oh, okay. N-channel power MOSFET, ultra-low RDS, ESD enhanced rating up to 1 kilovolt, UIS tested, I don't know what that is, RG tested, I don't know what that is, lead-free plating, lead-free lead painting, plating, lead-free lead plating. Huh? Very low on resistance, yeah. Power management and computing, current switching and DC subsystems, motor driving, quick wireless charging. I could have used these FETs. We used other specialty FETs for the RC motor controller, and I could never get it to quite work. I never got it to quite work. The power was kind of embarrassing. Lead-free lead. Yeah, lead-free lead plating. You cannot best me. I have lead-free lead plating. Ugh, I can't get that line out properly because it's just so weird. These clips are very annoying, and they don't have any wiggle room on them whatsoever. And right now, I've got this thing putting pressure down on this side, whereas I need it to let go. Last thing I want to have happen is this thing activate and fucking shred my hand. I'm pretty much just going to break it. When it all goes back together, the plastic seams will hold everybody in place. Oh, I hate these clips very much. No! Almost reclipped. These are so unnecessary. Ugh, jeez. Stupid thing. So now this will come out. Oh, no, it won't. What the? Why? Why would you not just continue this up to here? I'm going to continue it up to here. I'm going to clip that out because I don't feel like desoldering this thing. What a bunch of piss. Violent fan is a violent fan. Why would you not just do this? This is why you buy nice flesh cutters. And then what direction do we think this is coming out of? Okay. It may be semi-permanently mounted. Like I have to take out the impeller in order to... Oh, I see. So it... Yeah. I'd have to desolder this entire plate. and then undo probably a clip on there, and that would release the turbine. The thing about this is that, okay, oh wait, there's fins in here. So this is like a computer fan. It's like a thin initial impeller, and then down in the shaft, there are other fins directing the air. So this is actually working kind of the same way a turboprop works in terms of how it's shuffling air through the rest of the system. Except instead of a turboprop, we have the three-phase motor. Like here. So with a turboprop, you would have all of the combustion action. Or no, it's a shrouded turboprop. Which one is, what is that called again? Turbofan. That's right, not turboprop, turbofan. So the turbofan motor, they're like super duper efficient. You have your jet engine in the middle, and then you have this big fan up front that's throwing the air back. It's what, regular old jet engines use. In our case, we don't have the turbo, the jet-powered portion of it. Instead, that's just being spun by a motor. But they do the same thing with sort of the flow directors right behind, the fins that are directing flow behind, so that it's a spinning air column. Glad this thing is testing your patience and not mine. That's fine. I am not that annoyed. So this thing is still plugged in and powered, so I can technically turn it on and use it. This thing would make a great drone. That would be amazing. That is a lot of air, and it's kicking it out directly down behind it. Really good. Yeah, it does. It wants to lift off. I'm getting like a significant amount of thrust out of this thing too. I can feel it. I wonder what kind of a drone you could make out of these things. That would be kind of sick. That'd be cool. When do we donate 500 bits to make it blow in your face for a second or two? I don't know about that one. I could hook that up, but I do, like I said, I want this to survive because it is actually, it's a good motor. It's loud, but it's good at dusting. It's loud, but it's good at dusting. That's pretty insane, actually. The amount of thrust that you get out of this thing. I can't see that one. I don't think I have way too dank. It is getting very hot for that limited amount of use. Oh, it's one of the 7 TVs? I don't know why I don't have that. I thought I installed 7 TV. Crazy. If you can find the link on Amazon, it probably is attributed to Wolfbox. I wouldn't endorse buying this or not. That's your own decision. But it did come from Amazon. So, oh my God, it's that much? Jesus. I didn't want to see the price. I don't want to know what the price is. That is expensive, but I mean, it's pretty effective for what it is. I'd rather disassemble exactly what's going on with this thing. That is actually correct. That is how the motor is placed. I guess it's easier to just take an image from your CAD design software. It's got a mattress adapter and a pool toy. Is the battery warm? Yes. Not as warm as the control box. Everything on that thing is getting super toasty. How hot are the FETs? I don't seem that warm. They're dissipating the heat pretty well on their PCB. Why does it look like it's super duper warm? I guess because they're dissipating that heat really well. For the amount of, like, the design in this is pretty good. They're doing all the right stuff. There aren't any flagrant mistakes that we've found so far. Yeah, if you have an actual compressor, you can do what I do and buy the metal bottles, and then you can put those up to like 100 PSI, and you've got a little air sprayer that's reusable. That's what I do. I do one for alcohol too. And the bottles that I bought them like a million years ago. They're pretty good. They're metal. They've got good seals on them so that, the alcohol and 100 PSI air still has pressure in it like 2 years later. So I don't know. If you're looking for something to blow dust around, I guess this can do it. It's a little pricey for what it is, but it definitely moves air. And it looks like Wolfbox decided to not put hard angles all over their designs. They actually made it something that you can grip with your hand. Pretty cool. It seems like it's a really cool thing. It works really well. I want to find out the Violent fans. Can I? Violent. No Violent on the page. So Violent fans ducted motor. Violent Fems. No! Mini 3-phase brushless. This is from... It looks like a similar thing. Yeah, so I guess that's probably what it looks like, which would mean this would slide out of the front of the plastic. Oh, no. No, it doesn't. No, it does not. No, it does not. I probably shouldn't put my finger on it while it's powered up. Let's turn it off. Jeez. $9 for these. So I could make a ducted drone, ducted blower fan drone. $10 each for that? That's much better. I don't know if these are the same. Violent Mini Turbo Jet Fan, 1300 RPM. Oh, nope, never mind. So is their branding what says it's Violent? Tough cubic, best motoring, multifunctional air duster. Wolfbox MF100. It would say Wolfbox on the front. I think Violent Fan is the company that's making the ducted fan. Where's that? Over here. There we are. So Violent Fans is printed on this. Not this, the other one. Where's the other one? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd the other one go? What have you done with it? I blew everything away. Violent Fans is molded onto this. This looks like an added part, but it is molded specifically to go on this cover. It might be... I have the Craftsman compressor bought a couple months ago. It inflated my tire from flat in no time. Yeah, that thing, it's a little bit expensive, the one I have. It was expensive for what it is, but it's nice to be able to set and forget something that'll inflate your tires up. What bottle? Hold on. When your brain says shielding and you start writing hiding. What? What? Huh? What'd you say? I wouldn't necessarily buy it from... Well, there's a ton of different ones, but it's basically a metal bottle, like an aluminum bottle that has... I don't know if this thing is pressurized or not. Nope. But you can put it down like that to spray straight out, and then it's got an attached, specific sprayer if you want to do dusting with it. And then it just has a bicycle fitting at the top. This one says, First Info. I wouldn't look for this brand. It's just a white label style product. So that looks very expensive. No, this is cheap as hell. Certainly not $80 for this thing. Could become a mini torch. I put alcohol in it to spray electronics with, and then I'm probably going to outfit the other one to have oil in it, which not necessarily things you want spraying, but we don't have a lot of open flames here. Let me pull it up. Amazon, and then refillable spray bottle. So like, you can find these all over the place. Nope, not what I'm looking for. There, like that. There's a different... Oh no, it's still First Info. Huh. $30-40. That pays for itself though, because you don't need like... Well, I mean, for spraying oil, I could probably just have a little normal kind of spray bottle. But for like blasting electronics with alcohol, You can buy spray alcohol that comes in an aerosol can. Or you could do this, and it's just completely refillable, and you can buy bulk electronics alcohol. It's not spendy. $40 will pay for itself. But filling this with air, I don't know how much spray air costs. I don't think it's particularly cheap. Everything's expensive now, so I don't know. Price comparisons aren't. Everybody wants to ring us for our very last penny. Yeah, pretty cool little fan. I guess you could probably source just the fan cheaper to make a ducted drone these days. You just listed which one, the spray air. Pretty good. I mean, it's a thick circuit board. It's dissipating heat properly. The device itself is violent, as labeled as such. I don't know with this microcontroller though, but I think overall it's a pretty decent product. Let's look at the recharging part real quick. So we have a 2-layer PCB again, but this time we've got IP2326. So IP2326. If you P2326, you should see a doctor. Battery management. It's another Chinese part. So we got it from LSCS. Actually, is it? Let's see. Oh, yep. There we go. I mean, there are programs that can translate it to English. 25 volts, ESD 4 kilovolts. What do we got? Battery plus and minus coming in here. V-in is just a generic V-in. It's not specifically USB-C. So I don't know if this is doing negotiation on USB-C. How dare you type something like that into my chat? Now I gotta look for cameras. Set, we got communications over here. I mean, you know, the best way to learn how to read a data sheet is to open one in a foreign language. That'll teach you to pick out the numbers and the locations of the different charts and maximum ratings and stuff. It's actually kind of funny because it's less distracting to look at a foreign language data sheet. This is like usage and how you should tune the voltage sensing. And then we've got an example circuit, which is pretty much exactly what we're going to find on the board. Is that 2.2 microhenry coil. I wonder what coil they used, or if they used an equation to determine whether, 2R2, so it's a 2.2 microhenry coil. It's right there. You know, it's like, it never fails. You look at the data sheet and they say, this is how we suggest you use the product. And that's exactly what they do. They use it just exactly like the data sheet says. This guy, are we communicating at all on USB? It does look like there's 2 pins. Yeah, it looks like a couple of these pins are being communicated on. One of them is the data line that goes all the way back to the other board even. So it seems like they can plug this thing into USB and probably reprogram both of their microcontrollers to tune things up properly and do any, software-y stuff that I guess they would want to do. Because the two are communicating on a TX and RX, and it seems like some of those lines are going directly in. Interesting. So the question would be, is this capable of doing the communication that would be required in order to run this to a higher voltage? Should it be communicating and getting higher voltages? I don't know. What can the charger handle? What's their maximum V-in? I think it said 25 volts. Yeah, 25 volts. So if another microcontroller, if another controller is doing the communication, you plug this into USB-C. It goes, hey, I'm USB-C. Hey, man, can I get 15 volts? And USB-C goes, yeah, sure, man. I'll blow anything up. Boom, puts 15 volts down, and then this thing can quick charge that battery. Or it just doesn't do that. Or it doesn't do that, and they're just using the TX and RX to program the microcontrollers. That could be, that very well may be. That very well may be. But usually you plug in USB-C and it just provides 5 volts. That's what the generic cables do. But I love that protocol, the fact that we can have USB-C communicate and then negotiate higher charging powers. Well, that went too quickly. We're now done with this device, and it was only an hour. I guess we'll spend a little bit of time building the circuit. I'm going to put this back together. This is everything we predicted, I guess. Except, no, it wasn't quite everything we predicted, because we have a separate controller on each piece, which is weird. That's a waste of microcontrollers. Really, a singular microcontroller could sit over here and have communication lines and power lines go all the way down to this, so that when you plug this in, wait, you plug it in down here, and yet that's the motor controller. I guess it puts, yeah, it does balance charging with, no, it doesn't do balance. Wait a minute. It doesn't balance the two cells. Wayne Johnson, subbing. What'd you say over here? Hold on. The light worked, by the way. That was good. 59 month. I don't have those emotes, those 7 TV emotes. So it just says gauge wine time. What the heck? I'm sure they're very funny. I don't know, whatever. Just hold on. Let's. Franker face. It's a Franker face. So it's just a what the heck? Furry shit on the screen. Anyway, it's just a peepee with rainbows. How's it going, Wayne Johnson? Thank you so much for the sub. I really do appreciate it. You look up gauge, and the like 5th result is furry stuff. I get worried, and I have to close the window. I don't think it was explicit, but you never know. And if, Lord knows, if anybody out there sees a nipple, even just once, their heads will explode. That is completely unlabeled, and it makes me uneasy. Hold on, let me get my flashlight. That'll help. Sometimes you light it from a different angle, and you get slightly better. This camera is to look good, not to show stuff good. Although they're one and the same, sort of, sometimes. But I don't want to have too clinical fluorescent-y lighting on things. It doesn't look like it's been manually scuffed in any way either. Or burnt with, like, because there's that dot is prominent right there. The pin 1 marking is very prominently printed on with ink. So I hate this trend. Maybe it's not a trend, maybe it's been happening all this time, but where you have completely unlabeled electronics that were never labeled from the start. Like if you commission a place to get you, like I need 5,000 memory chips, but I don't want a single marking on them. I very much dislike that, because people like us don't get to figure out what's going on inside of the devices. So this is, if you boil this down and you think of this as an Arduino project, you've got big high current battery bank. You have a drone motor controller, just a 3-phase motor controller, and then something to do the blinking lights and the speed. So all it would be doing is pulsing these in such a way as to ease it to all of the steps that it needs to go to. You can look up, Arduino motor controller project, and you can find what the code's going to look like. It is a very interesting product in that sense. I kind of like it because it's just very simple. It goes, wait, what if I take a drone motor and I put a nozzle on it? Because those ducted fans are pretty crazy. And they just make this screaming thing. So let's try to get this thing back together, huh? Back together we go. Back alone you go. Which one was the front blower? I think there's LEDs on this one. Yeah, and then this one was mostly open. And then, you know what? There's a unique snap with 2 little things on it. And so that goes with the split one, which is right here. There we go. That's nice and easy. That helps me get everything back together properly. Now, if we wanted this to run in the opposite direction, I could swap 2 of these and it would just run backwards. Like that. This, oh Jesus, this thing is all over the place, but there should be a notch in the seam. There we go. Yeah, like if I wanted to, well, I wouldn't buy 3 of these because I've already got drone motor controllers and stuff. I could probably get the $10 ducted drone fans and make kind of a cool little drone. That'd be neat, like with this, because then it's all protected. You're not gonna, well, your hair can get caught in that thing for sure, but you could run it around and like crash it into stuff without worrying about whether or not you're gonna blow up a fan. Only a fan, and only for a minute, mind. There was another spring in this that is gone. The buttons and devices like this, typically what you'll have is a plastic piece that matches the design of the outer case, and then a tactile button. And while the tactile button is sprung, like it has kind of a spring in it, that spring is actually the metal. I just dropped it. Darn it! Okay, I've got more over here. Show you guys. You'll have something like a tactile button in your typical device. If your device is penny pinching enough, they will sometimes forego having this thing, even though these are super cheap. They're super cheap. They're really readily available. They're easy to come by. You can have people interacting directly with that button, and it's all totally fine. But what they'll typically do in a design is they will have an additional spring, whether it be a little piece of plastic that keeps everything together and it deforms a little bit, making a spring, or in this case, an actual spring, which is designed to return the plastic button back to its location. So the weight of the button here is being taken up by this spring, and then the actual clicking that you feel is a little metal disc that gets mushed down. Some devices I've seen, even like the fidget cube, had just a rubbly button, and then under it was that disc, and it's just taped to the PCB. And then you've got two contacts. You've got one on the outer rim, and then you've got one in the center. And when that clicks down, it shorts out the two contacts. That's all these are. That's all these are. That's all most buttons are. And of course, the act of clicking the button and deforming that disc doesn't happen all at once. As you ramp up the amount of force that you put into the button, that button is going to click, but there's still enough spring force. So it gets to be in a little sort of a superposition of closed and not closed at the same time. And so tap, 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 until finally it latches down. You can see that on an oscilloscope, because we obviously can't observe time in such small increments. So you put it on the oscilloscope, and that slows it down for you. You can see that button press, it'll be low, and then high, 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 low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. And so when you have buttons in a microcontroller, you debounce those buttons. You have them associated with a timer that is going to keep your button from being pressed 35 times in a row. Because microcontrollers, remember, are observing the Earth at a much, much faster pace than we are. Now, if there was another spring, it's gone. It was blown off of the desk or blown into the, I don't know. We see another spring anywhere? Yes. Aha. Happy day. So, I got to somehow get this thing in here and have two opposing springs interact with the PCB. Let's see if we can do this. This is the cost of the admissions ticket alone. Oh, okay, so it goes this way. Because the light guide is right here. Here, let's get a little closer on that one. Let's do this. So go in like this. There we go. This thing is not going to be easy to put back together. All right, so that fits right here. There we go. Drops in. Yeah, and they didn't try to hide the violent fan markings. But yet, looking for violent fans, you don't exactly find the company. I guess what I'll do is tilt it into place. It's a decently made product. It's I expected like weird stuff or stuff that was kind of bad, but it looks like they did a really good job of it. You know, they used a connector in here, which they didn't have to do. A yak shaver. I finally got a yak shaver. No, this is sent in by a viewer. And it's an air duster, and they used a violent fan. But when you look up violent fans from a Philadelphia IP address, you don't exactly get good results. You get results, but they're not exactly what... Oh, this thing just turned itself on. Of course, this whole thing is currently energized, so Gotta be careful around it. Wait, what LEDs are there? Oh, this is for the bottom. That's right. Yeah, this thing is quite violent, to be honest. Here. Uh-oh, it's not turning off. Okay, that was weird. Oh, the spring is stuck in there, that's why. All right, hold up. Fish around in this thing with a screwdriver. A Dyson motor for an air duster. I have a spare Dyson motor sitting around. We were going to use them for smoke extraction on Burn the Subs. Still haven't ruled that out as a project because that is quite a neat little... Those motors are neat. Okay, there, that feels a little better. Now I got to get the front one. Front butt. Using a screwdriver just to push it down and get it around the pin. Although, nope, that's not the way it goes. It has to go in the other way because the pin takes up that whole thing and the spring doesn't have room to compress. It's for drying your yak before peeling, yeah. I wonder if I could use this with Willow to dry her hair. She takes hours for her hair to dry. Because of the undercoat, the thick undercoat on the Corgi. Okay, getting this to go back together without a violent electrical spark is getting a little bit more challenging. I don't know why it should be such a challenge. No! You fuck. All right. This over here. Grab it by its front butt. A wonderful little conductive spring around a circuit board that's charged with 4.7 or whatever volts of pure fury. Actually, these are in series. 22.2 watt hours at 7.4 volts. You get 4 of these and you got a soup going. Fuck. Yeah, we tried to look up the company that made the fan. It's Violent Fans. You just get stuff about people watching sports. It's not sticking on. I think it needs to be like pressed. So what I need to do is grab it by the front butt. Just barely. Maybe then I can... No, that's not going to work. Well, actually it does. But it's still not staying on. It doesn't really clip in. It's just kind of hanging there. So that makes this even more difficult operation. Oh, God. And then, yeah, and then it falls out again. Son of a bitch. I wonder if they have a way of locking these springs in at the factory. Probably. This is the hardest part, is getting the 2 springs back. The clips aren't going to be difficult at all. Those will just clip back in. It's just getting this spring onto... Here's that part. That's good. And then this... Okay, so here's what I'm up against here. Here's what doing. We could back up a little bit. So I've got the board that doesn't want to move because that's plugged in down there. And I guess maybe what I could do is alleviate that a little bit by unplugging it right now so that I get a little bit more flexibility on the board itself. As I put it in, I have to make sure that this spring properly aligns to the button. And then this button aligns to the post that won't hold on to a spring. If it could hold on to a spring, I could potentially back it out with the tweezers and compress it. There's not enough room over here for me to compress the spring, I don't think. Let's try. And it's all got to coordinate itself into place. The battery is, of course, trying to steer this thing in another direction as well. Here, I'm gonna back out a little bit so that you guys can, so that I can see what I'm doing and that you guys can see what I'm doing too. Everybody sees everything all the time. There we go. How do they get these things together in the factory? It's got to be really annoying. I keep thinking that I'm putting my hand on something super warm, and so I'm about to have like a giant lithium fire in my in my shop. It keeps feeling like I'm doing something wrong, like as if my tweezers have started conducting. That one's holding onto the spring pretty good. All right. Everybody's got to do a fart at me. Okay, let's see. That there. Oh, I see. It's the board's tilting funny. So what I want to do is basically slide this down into its like posts. I think that's just right here. So that's the post up there. And if I do that and I get that spring in there, then we're done. The rest of it's pretty easy. See, what they would do in other designs is they would have Fartbox needs its own mic. It's super quiet. It's just way over there. I can move it closer if it's too quiet for you guys. The whole point is that it's a diegetic sound and not something that the computer's making purely inside of audio. Now, the whole purpose of this is that it is part of the shop, and it's currently farting at me. That's probably a lot louder. If I could access the mic compressor through an API or something, I could have it lower the amount of compression so that it's actually genuinely loud. I guess I could just do that by activating and deactivating the mic. Apparently in OBS, what I was supposed to be doing, Gonad, we did a little bit of looking into Node-RED earlier when stream was starting, and apparently the way that I have it organized with folders is not the way that you're supposed to do it. Okay, hold on, where's that a little smaller? Bring that over here. I have these folders that have all of the like overlays and stuff in it, but apparently I should have a scene that has a bunch of overlays. Yeah, these are groups. You can group things in the sources. You're not supposed to do that. Apparently that's like real buggy. It's like super duper buggy. So instead you have a scene that you add on top of your other scene for things like overlays. So I'm gonna need to do that. I have OBS homework to do now. Yeah, when you move one thing and then everything for some reason moves in the other thing. I don't know why it's like that. Nested scenes are better. Mine are 4 or 5 scenes deep. Woof, weird. Yeah, so I've got to go to nested scenes because then I can use the API to figure out, first of all, what the... Also, how do you know what the scene ID is? Like they've got this, the source has an ID number. I don't know how to figure that out, because I need to point it towards the scene and then the source ID number in order to turn it on and off. I was going to make it so that if somebody says starting soon in chat and the starting soon scene or the overlay is active, it will deactivate that, activate a huge one. Maybe we'll work on that in just a little bit. No, but the ID is a number. There's like an ID number. I don't know. It's kind of boring work, so I'll probably end up... Stream is not going to go that long today, so I'll sit down afterwards with a pot of coffee and start renaming stuff. Source just uses the name for the WebSocket stuff. Just call it by name. It told me that it was missing a number when I punched it into Node-RED and I got a message back. It said it needs that scene ID number. I don't think it needs it by... It shouldn't need it by default, but apparently it did. It was very strange. But yeah, once I reorganize things, I'll be able to use it a little bit more easily. OBS group scene item, and then it's requires false. Even though it's required false, this isn't specifically the plugin that I'm using. This is something else. Get that from OBS somewhere. I looked and I didn't find it, but yeah, maybe once I reorganize things, I'll be able to find this stuff more easily. I also made OBS give me the number, but it couldn't. I didn't know how to get into the folders, and when I looked at how to get into the folder, it said, you really should use nested scenes, folders suck. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I need to retool that a little bit. This thing could hold on to the spring. That would be very nice. I would like to get this thing back together. I'm having a little bit of trouble here. So this spring, I could get back on if I could compress it enough not be in the way. And it just flew across the bench. I hate springs. I heard it over here. There it is. Boingy, boingy, boingy. Okay, so let's try to get that back in. I think my desk isn't as bright as it could be. What's going on here? That's a little better. A wolf box, expensive little guy. Yeah, we're just getting to reassembly on it, but it's actually very nice. The design, like the layout of the circuit board and everything, is pretty good. It looks all right. It uses Chinese microcontrollers. This microcontroller has a memory element to it that I can't identify because there's literally no markings on it. There's just a pin 1 marking. The recharging is being done with, what is it? B plus and B minus, so I don't think it's balanced charging, although I think this recharging chip is capable of that. Let's see. And I don't know if it's doing negotiation for high voltage USB-C. It might be able to, because the D plus and minus are I think being communicated with on the USB connector. This thing charges up to 25 volts. Does it do balancing? I don't know. Where is it with the? No, it's just a battery plus and minus. Why go through the trouble of having an entire chip like this if you don't balance your cells? Strange. I guess maybe with 2 you don't really need to worry about that so much. But it's this massive, yay, 21700, 7.4 volt, 300 milliamp hours, 22 watt battery. It's pretty crazy. It's a nice little thing. But putting it back together is a little difficult because you have opposing springs on either side. Yeah, I do need to get one of those USB meters. I kind of dragged my feet, I dragged my feet on getting one. I guess with USB-C being a thing, there's probably pretty good ones out there. I'm having a lot of trouble getting this back together. This is very annoying. Got a few of those. They're super. Oh wait, my windows are on top of each other. They're super handy. One with analog dials. That's pretty cool. That's right. I remember that. I remember it now. Yeah, I should just get like a cheapy Amazon one. I don't know if there's a particularly trusted brand when it comes to that. But overall, I mean, the plastic on the product is a little bit cheap for the price tag, and I didn't want to know that price tag, but we had to look it up because I was looking at Violent Fans. Because this is like a $10 thing, and I've got drone motors, so if I wanted to make a ducted fan drone, it would be kind of cool. But I don't think I'm actually going to make a ducted fan drone. The amount of thrust that comes out of this thing makes me immediately think of drone, and it is kind of fun if you've got completely shrouded fans so that you can knock this thing into the foliage without it blowing up impellers. Really nice for testing half-build stuff. It's got a switch to cut off power so I can use it for programming. Yeah, that initial power-up is always nice to have sort of a thing telling you whether or not. That's why I use the power supply for initial power-ups. Come on. There we go. Finally, that was more difficult than I can communicate to you guys. That was a very annoying thing. Very, very annoying. Okay, so there's a couple screws that need to go in. This thing has a clip at the top, and then one screw down there, and then we've got another screw that goes all the way down here to hold on the LED light pipe. Oh, I see. Yeah, that phase where you're plugging and unplugging USB cables constantly. Well, that's why you have a proper reset on the microcontroller, but I guess we can't always have that. Can't always have that luxury. All right, ducted fan. I think I'll get a little bit of use out of this thing. I mean, it's kind of cute. It's a little loud for what it is, but I do think I'll probably come back to it and actually use it to dust things. Because, I mean, the initial dust that we got out of all of the electronics around here was absolutely legendary. You could see it in the air. At least you know if the batteries ever go bad that you could replace them, but then again, it might be cheaper just to purchase a new one. Not for this thing. A pair of 21700 batteries is going to be far cheaper than this thing. This is a little bit expensive for what it is. For what it is, I think it's a little pricey. If the duct motor is only $10. Of course, that was just a random white label product, ducted motor. This is a specific ducted motor. Maybe this thing is made out of better stuff. I don't know. And then generally, I don't know what the pricing is of the air dusters in general. If they're a unique kind of product and the pricing makes total sense, or if there are super cheap options. I use my generic one quite often, better than a data vac for a small job. Yeah, also if I was inflating a lot of like pool toys and stuff, this thing would be great. Or if I had an air mattress still. At like a festival. But this thing, I mean, it seems like a pretty interesting little toy, and I should get some mileage out of it. Where are the LEDs? They're on the, oh, they're not on the underside of the board. They're on the top of the board, and they've got foam around them. The foam here is not so much to brace the LEDs against the light pipe. It is actually to isolate them. It keeps this LED from illuminating its neighbor at all. Although I don't think that would be too important in this product, because having the one LED on and the next one next to it slightly visible wouldn't be that big of a deal. I guess if you really want to control what the consumer is looking at. And I guess that makes sense for why there's a microcontroller down here, because this thing is doing the LED stuff, as well as USB communications. Although I could see, maybe not in 4 wires, but I could see doing all of that communication stuff with just wires and not putting a second microcontroller in this. Having 2 microcontrollers in this it's a little bit weird. I think I need to release this light pipe thing and then put it back down. So let's take that out a little bit. All this is going on in the background of your device that I don't know, I don't understand people not taking apart their devices. It's so fascinating to see how things are put together. A little bit of wasted space here, down here. This probably needs a little bit of room around it so that air can dissipate, because this has a very good ground plane on it. I saw the Project Farm video about these dusters. Project Farm video? The Wolf box is on the high end, but it tested well. Whoa! There's the idea light coming on. That was for no idea. What is it? Project Farm vid? Oh, pretty sure that's one of those generic 900 kV, sorry, it's not kilovolt, ducted turbines with extra plastic molding over to make it special. Yeah, and it's violent fans, but I can't find anything when I search violent fans. It's all sports stuff. But, so, it's nicer when it's clear for battery indicators. Yeah. Because then you get that little bit of bleed over. Looks good. Torque test channel, tested a load of these. The ducted fans, the generic ducted fans, are like $9. It's like I have to lift the battery a little bit in order to get this to make the turn, and put this back together, and then go back to reading your comments. One sec. I'll read chat in just a sec. Just let me get this plugged in so it's not distracting me. Geez, that was a lot weirder than it should have been. Let's try to guide the wires a little bit there. Yeah, because, like, I don't know, it's not necessarily nicer elements of design. This is crooked. Not necessarily nicer elements of design. This is just, it's got more to it. Oh, there we go. That got it into place. And now I need to make sure that this is in the right spot. My LED light pipe. Push. There are cheaper and easier ways to do this to make assembly a little bit annoying, less annoying, but okay, there. Back together. I guess if you have to change out the battery, these tabs are right up front. That's helpful, at least. I use my generic one quite often. There's 30 different varieties of the dusters. Yeah, this one specifically is the Wolf box. I don't know where you guys keep your wolves, but these folks appreciate having them in a box. Make sure we clicky. Ooh, that's a little less clean than it was. I think everything's back in place. Yeah, that's as good as it gets. Okay, cool. So now we just re-snap all the snaps. So Project Farm said the Wolf box is on the high end, but it tested well too. Yeah, I can understand it doing pretty okay. I just don't like the snaps. I wish they had used screws. It's got slightly rounder features than the other ones for some inexplicable reason. All of these are designed with like angles. It's really weird. Been taking apart stuff since I was like 4. Still have no idea what I'm looking at or what it's doing. Well, so we're slightly more informed. We go one extra step, which is to look up the part numbers of the chips that are used. And that'll typically give you a pretty good idea of how the thing is constructed and what it's doing. The more expensive the things get, the more you have application-specific controllers on it, and sometimes they are so specialized that it is only known to the engineers that are building the thing what the chips do. This is not going back together. When are you going to mod this for the trigger-controlled for full range with the drone ESC? Yeah, and use a 3-cell battery? I've got controllers that I could put on this thing. 900 kV though, it would have to be one of the Afrotech ones that I've got. I'll use this to power the RC car. This is not snapping back, and I'm kind of running out of ideas here. I'm not going to put it in a vise, but I do need to get this to snap, and so I need to pinch it in these locations without it deforming outwards. But it's rounded, so it might not. My uncle took me into his job back in the 1980s, and they had those pneumatic tubes where they would send memos all over the pneumatic tubes. I was obsessed with it. This is the good part? Yeah, sorry. We got it all back together. Well, look at all these spare parts. I got it back together is kind of a relative state. All right, so I'm gonna get a vise that I can kind of pinch it with. I remember that. Yeah, it's really cool. How could you not be obsessed with it? They still have those in hospitals for carting blood around, which is probably going to be a very annoying thing to get hit in the face with. Not only do you get hit with a little pneumatic tube thingy, but you also get blood, not your blood. Screws are there if the clips take a shit. They do seem like they're not terribly, how do I even put it? Not virile, but they're not incredibly super duper clampy. They come off relatively easily, so I think the screws are there in the event that you drop this thing. I've had good luck making 3D printing jigs to squeeze stuff back together. That is a very interesting thing. I know virile clips was definitely not the right phrase, but I used it. My brain is this swirling miasma of like SAT words sometimes, and I just kind of grab something that seems right. Even managed to straighten bent titanium tubes? What? You gotta be careful with titanium because it'll just crumble. Yeah, this is the most difficult part of the whole thing. Okay, so here's the deal. This is what's happening. As I push down on this is warping. And so it'll warp so that these clips go like out. And that doesn't help me get it aligned properly in order to snap back into place. I think. No, that warping should actually help me. How do they get this thing together in the first place? So I need to press these two elements together so that these things kind of clip onto the clips down here. So it should be pretty easy to get it to snap. Like up here, it just clicks. When we get down here, they're not really working together to click on. So yeah, you're right. They probably do have like a jig that closes this thing. I don't know how. Nope. Nope. I'm not drawing this out. I'm actually this inept. The rounded shape is so you could reclose it with gaffer's tape. Just tape it 3 times. Throw a couple zip ties and call it a day. No! No, I refuse. I will get this back together. Hail or high water. This might damage the outside. Last thing I need is a giant 3,000 milliamp hour battery going nuclear on me. Yeah, I can see it just starting. Why don't you just clip in? That might have been a clipping. Begin, the electrical fires have. Go in. Go in there. Ugh, I damaged the edge. When the thermal cam blooms, it'll be like that capacitor from the other day. Not the other day, the other year. From like 7 years ago. Go together, you stupid thing. What is this thing's problem? I think maybe the damage to the clips when I pried it open. But they shouldn't really damage themselves when you do that. Yeah, I guess zip ties could also help provide a little bit of tension on that. Satana! Hercule! These don't, I think, do as much pressure as I wanted them to. But I can't poke it with a screwdriver while I do that. What I think is happening is it's flattening outwards, and so it's putting too much pressure on the clips to clip in. If I bend it like that, it should fall into place. Whoa, that was too far. See, and then there's also a little lip on the thing that keeps it from going forward. See, right like that. This one too. Oh, so up is the direction that I needed to go. Come on. Would you just, there we go. That was it. Pushing in the side helped me get it to clip. No, we're not opening it, we're closing it. There we go. So the trick was put pressure on it, and because everything starts to distort, you then just push in from the side, and then it clips back together. So now we'll put the performative screws, the completely vestigial screws that, you know, you look at the product and you go, we should put screws on it just because everybody else does. Hey, what's up, Perkinji? Perkinji? That's too small. You want to use the largest screwdriver that'll grip your screw just because it spreads all of the force around. That's not going to happen. This is the one. Yeah, we're putting it back together now. We took a look at it. It's pretty well designed for the price tag. I'm not totally sure about whether or not I would recommend that you go out and buy this one, because there's just a family of products now that use these drone-based ducted motors, and they put a screaming amount of current through them. This one is on the upper end, and that shows in the design. I mean, it's at least a grip. Like, it's got smooth grips that aren't angular, I don't know why that's a unique thing to this one. Why is that unique to only one? It's ridiculous. I should repaint it? No, I should put it in a different enclosure. I should reprint it. But in terms of capability, I mean, these things are great. They're crazy. This is the amount of air that this thing puts out is significant. And I could see it could make a pretty nasty drone. I think it would be a pretty fast drone if I put like a 6S on it and then I used 4 of these motors. I would not get them from this device though. You can get them from AliExpress for like $10 a motor. And then you just put them on the 4 ends of your drone and put 6S through them and everything explodes. But it is a significant amount of air going through this thing. I mean, this is it's pretty good. It's very annoying sounding. It is loud. But yeah, if you did like an ultralight drone, and I think I've seen it before. I think I've seen people do that. You do an ultralight drone with ducted fans, 4 little ducted fans real close in, and the thing just screams around. It would be nice if I could source these guys, because then I could have a plastic enclosure on either end of the turbine. Turn it on and put it on the table. I don't think it'll move itself. No, I'm not gonna, well, there's a way to lock it in, I think. If I, oh no, that's power level, and then, nope. What the hell's that? That was weird. I don't think there's a way to lock it on. Yeah, I can't lock it on. You look fancy. It's useful for giving you a new hairstyle. It's very humid around here today, so I am constantly playing with my hair. Maybe I could put this on a microcontroller, and every couple seconds it'll, or put a points redemption. Scooch bothers hair. Yeah, if I have 2, I could put 1 in each armpit. That's apparently what they do in Japan. They have, not with this motor, because this motor would inflate an entire orchestra uniform, you could do like 30 people, but what they have are jackets that have little fans in them that puff them out. So you see them walking around all puffy, but they're actually getting their own personal little air exchanger. This thing is very angry sounding. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess I could see this thing finding its place in the shop, in the HARS that I put together here. The LED lighting on the fan is a little bit like, why is that? We don't need that. But I guess it's connected directly to the phases, so if you really wanted to like film it at high speed, you could see the LEDs turning on and off. Power assisted armpits. Don't fursuits also have ventilation like that? The smarter amongst them would possibly do that, although one of the things that you do, and we did this with race cars, totally not furry stuff. Wasn't furry at all. We didn't do anything. Nope. Nope. We were racing cars because we're so virile and masculine. Anyway, for the car racing stuff, under the fire suit, you would have long johns, and what you do is you take a surgical hose. So surgical hose, although sometimes on the bends it'll collapse, you want to keep it from doing that, and you sew a spiral around it. And what you do is you just go back and forth with one singular hose. Cutoff connectors are much cheaper these days. They're easier to find, so you could have little cutoff connectors between the pants and the shirt, and between the like the stuff sticking out the leg, you know, at one leg, and you plug that in to an ice cooler, and you run a little pump. So it would be much easier and better than running like something like this for air. Instead, you would pump all of the heat of your body to something like a backpack, which, I mean, with a fursuit, you just design it into your character, right? And in the backpack, you have I don't know what pump you would want to use on battery power. I don't know if like maybe one of those little 12-volt pumps. You don't need to move the liquid very fast, but if you drop ice water in the bucket, it gets real cold real quick. It does a really good job. So just need a CPU cooler and a jaunty hat. For headgear, yeah, that is kind of nice to have, because if you're surrounded by fur and felt and fabric and you've got something like a motorcycle helmet on, that's holding in a lot of heat. Motorcycles rely on your movement in order to have little cooling air vents in them. But when you're standing still in it, it's going to be balmy at best, especially when you're doing the physical job of, like, you know, emotive moving and making sure that, you know, emotions are pumping. No, when you're moving around a lot and you're just completely surrounded by like a fur coat, it's terrible. It's same thing with the fire suits when you're racing, is that they hold in quite a bit of heat, and you are doing the job of driving this car at breakneck speeds. It's a workout. So yeah, cool suits are the way to go, not moving air, because moving air, you don't have anywhere to move it into. But when you do something like a cool suit, then you've got an external thing which you can dump either ice water in, or you could have like a heat exchanger on it to do like a radiator. So one day I will move all of my computers into one room and get like a Honda radiator and put it on there with like an actual radiator fan from a car or something like that. That would be very fun to do. Just use an actual aluminum radiator in order to cool your computer. All right, well, that thing was fun. So this is the Wolf Fart, what is it called? Wolf Box. Ducted fan air blaster, air duster. We call it a duster because otherwise I'm talking about blowing a little bit too much. It's enough that you get a little bit of thrust coming back on your hand. So good stuff. Just need a CPU cooler and a jaunty hat. Well, I've got the jaunty hat. I do have that. Now we have British ideas. There's a guy that uses an AC to cool his PC. That's phase change cooling. They've been doing that for a long time. You used to be able to buy an actual tower that had the whole AC unit in the bottom. A product that exists on Alibaba, again related to cooling stuff. They have miniature compressors, and apparently running like a refrigeration cool suit is a way to treat a certain muscular disorder. So the people who have had this muscular disorder, like living in pain, they built essentially what is a cool suit that has its own AC compressor on it, miniature one, and then it like alleviates the condition. They're like, oh, I can move around again. It's great. I would love to do that with like a computer or an actual cool suit, something like that. Doing a computer with a little tiny little miniature AC compressor. That would be kind of cool. I would probably have to do it with water exchanging, just because I don't trust myself to run the lines and have it be at a temperature that isn't going to cause condensation. That was another thing. The Peltier coolers, if you stack Peltier coolers, they throw heat out really, really well. And if you do that, you can get them very cold indeed. And who was that did that? Was it? I think it was the one that was like the canceled cooling company, the one that I use for all my stuff until recently. I forget who did it, but what they did is they had humidity sensors. Was it EVGA? It might have been EVGA. They had humidity sensors on the processor that would determine what the dew point was, because you don't want water to manifest on your CPU cooler. I always thought that would be kind of a neat little project to do, but yeah. Anyway, I am probably going to be working on this thing. Probably going to be working on this circuit in the background. I won't suffer you guys to watch more soldering, although I know some of you guys are totally fine with that kind of content. But I'll work on this thing on my own. This is the 100 volt emote thrower project. So we have a TIP 122 Darlington transistor. It's a big old NPN. We have a 100 volt power supply, because I can't be asked to make 100 volts on my own. I have an analog voltmeter attached to that. It's a 100 volt analog voltmeter. That's how we chose the number of volts. A big solenoid and a bank of capacitors, a bank of big stinky capacitors to hook up. So I got to build all this stuff, and I'm going to try to do it in the background so that we have an opportunity to work with the hardware a little bit. I'm actually going to make the 3 big caps into this flat PCB, and I can put something over top of it in order to keep, myself from reaching over it and totally shocking the crap out of my arm. But I'm going to work on this stuff in the background. I'm going to try to get this thing together and functional for our next stream, hopefully, which will be on Tuesday. Like I said, I'm not going to draw out content. This can be a shorter stream. It's okay. I'm not under any contractual obligations to make these things, super long. 20 or so years ago, I used an old heater core from a car in a PC water cooling setup. That's exactly what I wanted to do. The Honda radiators can be very, very small. They can be the size of your PC's door. And so it just looks like a big old radiator sitting on the side of your PC. That'd be great. They're not as, because the car expects car speed air to be going through it. So they're not as efficient with cool air as like a PC radiator would be, because those are thicker and they've got more like flat baffles, I guess. Are those just, I don't know. I would love to do a weird PC project again, because I got a little handheld jobby. That sounds wrong. Don't call your handhelds jobby. Anyway, I got a little handheld PC, and so that thing can be a thin client for my big PC. So I don't need the big PC to be what I designed anymore. I can spread out and do like weirder stuff with the water cooling maybe. M5 card, what is that? I don't know what that is. I got the Legion Go is what I got. So I can use that as a thin client when I go to LAN parties with my friends, and that way I don't have to lug a giant PC everywhere I go. So radiator from a dirt bike. That would be a pretty good one too. Or like an oil heat exchanger. Those always look well, but the oil heat exchanger might not be copper. Steam Deck would go well. I already have the Legion Go, so with everything going on everywhere, I'm actually kind of glad I got that when I did, because everything's going up in price. But anyway, here's the end card. Burp, 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 burp. There we go. So I've got a little bit of homework to do with OBS to get it ready for better exchange of thoughts and ideas through Node-RED. My brain works, I swear. So I'm going to be working on a lot of different stuff this weekend. You can catch me on Discord. I will certainly be there, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me. And we will continue to do cool stuff. I'm going to just keep moving in the direction that I'm moving, and hopefully we can get a lot of stuff done. I will catch you guys.